Hey, oh, good morning, Kevin. How the heck are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, best day ever.
It's
Oh,
obvious. It's on your shirt.
so
Wow.
yes, now it may take you forever, but if you too want your own best day ever t-shirt, you can get one. They're very expensive and the quality is low, but it will support the channel in more than $1, not tens of dollars, but there's $1 that goes or two that goes
Is
in
it
with
is
that.
it
So
is it like $1.10 or something like that? So you could
it
save more
is,
than $1?
yeah, it is somewhere
Don't
in that
reveal the
neighborhood.
secret.
Yeah, it is. It is not a lot, but it is a fun thing to have. Uh,
You really sell it. I mean,
well, that's what we're, at Kratos BI, that's what we're known for, is our ability to sell products and move that merch. That
yeah.
is what we are known for.
The lowest quality with the highest cost. Yes.
Yeah, we absolutely have that. But today is actually a special day. Thank you guys, every one of you, for joining in. It's good to see you, Jack, Jason, Aaron, everyone who's on the live stream right now. You can see the numbers continue to go up. So, like, hello. If you're on X or LinkedIn, feel free to come over to YouTube, join us there. We are on a push to reach 10,000 subscribers. We are
Oh,
6
look at
away.
that.
It's entirely possible, if you are sharing this live stream with people, that we will cross that threshold on this live stream. So I've got this like tracker up that I'm kind of watching, and if we cross that, we'll do a little celebration dance there. So just fingers crossed we will cross over that. So make sure that you like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff, right? um,
Wow. Hmm.
yeah,
I may
yeah.
have to push some people and see if I could help out some more.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a live feed. It's updating in real time. Let's hope it doesn't actually go down. I was at like, oh, I only need 8 more yesterday, and then all of a sudden it was like I only need 9 more. Dang it. So people come and go. That's true. But we
Yeah.
are growing, so we please join the chat over on YouTube, but do follow us on all of your social media and stuff like that.
That's
How
great.
are, yeah, how are you doing, Kevin?
I am doing well, man.
Yeah.
Traveled a little bit last weekend.
Mm.
I just been my wife added it up on how much travel we've done in the last 6 weeks, and it was a ton. So, but that's all done for a while.
Okay.
Gonna kind of be back into the groove of things, trying to figure stuff out. So, yeah, but it's been fun. I highly recommend it. If people could travel, do it. Get
Oh,
away.
right.
You know.
Ooh.
How about
Ooh.
yourself though? You've been busy. Not the travel type, but other type of stuff, right? Because we missed last week because we both had things going on, right?
Yeah, and we're so holidays are coming up. July 4th is next week. America, that means fireworks. That means all sorts of fun
Hmm.
stuff. July 5th, we are going to be doing a live stream, right? So Kevin and I talked. You know what? I'm an old guy, right? I go to bed same time every night,
Yeah.
regardless of what's going on, and I kind of wake up the same time. So we'll still do a Friday live stream next week, but then we will be on like a hiatus for like 4 weeks because I've got a Power BI Fabric training that I'm going to be doing over that period of time. So no live stream for other than the 5th, July 5th. We will be there, but that's our only live stream of the week. So
So
or
come
of
back
July.
for the big reveal in August.
Yes. We will kick things back off again with all sorts of exciting things and capabilities. Yeah.
And
Love
it
to hear.
might work out, right? Because things tend to get a little bit slow sometimes with releases in the early summer with Microsoft and everything. So
Oh yeah, we have. There are two big times, right? Right before FabCon and right before what's in the fall? Is it Ignite? Ignite?
build?
No, we just had
No,
Build.
yeah, we just had build. It must be Ignite.
Yeah. So Ignites in the fall is they're two big releases. So the biggest things happen in there, but we are constantly seeing updates and new things go on inside the Fabric service. So here or it's yeah, it's a good time to take a little break. Because plus, I know a lot of people are taking vacations. I'm actually uh, like right after the live stream on next Friday. That's well, I guess it's that Monday. I'm headed over to Seattle to Microsoft, so
Nice.
I will be in person in Redmonton. If anyone is around, hit me up. We will be touring the Microsoft campus, talk with people. So excited about that conversation.
Good. Well, have fun. Tell everybody we said hi.
I definitely will. Um, all right. Well, we had a big announcement this week. Kevin, do you want to like bring this up? Mention this?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you have this up. Let me bring up my copy as well. I knocked it down while looking at other stuff. But again, Microsoft has been named the leader in the Gartner quadrant for analytics and business intelligence platforms. And what I continuously notice this throughout the years is Microsoft has that top and furthest to the right position, and the gap continues to grow.
Yeah.
So not only are they a leader, which they have been in this leaders quadrant, right? Maybe not at the top spot, but they've been in this leaders quadrant for many years. That they didn't highlight that, but what they did highlight is that they are positioned furthest to the right and the highest for the sixth consecutive year. That's amazing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, to continue to outshine the competition. Um, and yeah, there are things. Gardner has requirements that they ask all the companies to kind of meet and how they put things together. So, there are a couple times that we see a couple features come out that people on the socials will kind of go, well, that's just for these type of comparisons. And sure, but everything else, I mean, they got to put everything else out as well, and continue to execute their model for how they do releases. And you just kind of mentioned it, right? They're continuously updating the service, right? They stick on that monthly schedule for desktop, right? It may get delayed a little bit with conferences or here or that, but it's pretty darn consistent, right? Throwing out the monthly updates and having a lot in those monthly updates. So um I don't know if any I don't read these every year. If you've never downloaded one of the Gardner quadrant, the actual document, I think it's very interesting to read them. Again, I don't read one every year, but the last time I remember, because it talks a little bit about the requirements, it tells you why they think each company fits within um, where they put them. And so, what I would encourage you to do is read, where Microsoft is, but also go and read the points that they talk about with the other companies to kind of see where the comparison comes from, right? Um, so that to me, it's very interesting. I haven't downloaded this year's. I think it's about time for me to look at it. But they talk here about the evolution of bringing Fabric, Power BI into Fabric, putting Fabric out there. That made me think when I started looking at this. Gardner puts a lot of quadrants out there. Um, what I'd like to kind of see, because we talk about Snowflake being one of the big competitions to the Fabric platform, right? Snowflakes and Databricks and everything. So I started kind of searching for some of those other ones. I think I've only seen past years. Microsoft was at least in the leader quadrant with that. So I think they're going to continue to grow in those areas. I think those will be good quadrants to follow as well. Of course, they're focusing on their infusion of AI. Um, I think Copilot just continues to grow and get better with it. We could all kind of say what we want about AI, but there's some things that are good, some things are bad, and but the train is leaving, and you better be on that train. So, um, anything else stand out to you,
Well,
Chris?
so yeah, I'm going to kind of piggyback on what you just said there about, it's really good to take some time to read this stuff over because, uh, frankly, all of these tools have different capabilities. Some do them really well, some do them not. Uh,
Hmm.
but each one has its niche where it's like, hey, like the other people aren't doing this. We found something specific that we can do to make our mark in the marketplace. So
Hmm.
we're going to go hard on that. Well, the other tools will then respond, right?
Right.
Sometimes they'll add in direct comparison features. I mean, for every McDonald's, there's a Burger King, right? So there'll always be that McDonald's French fries and compared to the other French fries, right? Um, so it's good to, I think, understand those capabilities. And if you're in a small to medium organization, you probably have one, maybe two business intelligence tools that you're using. Odds
Hmm.
are you're using, if you're watching this channel, you're using Power BI, right?
Right.
But it's good to know what those other capabilities are so that when people come in and say, hey, I want to do this niche thing that they used at a last company, right? And I don't know what it is, but uh, like this capability that's super strong in ThoughtSpot or Tableau,
Hmm.
right? Understanding how that plays or works inside of Power BI and just be able to like talk to it and say, hey, yeah, this is how this works over here. Yeah, maybe it's not as good as those things, but these are the things we can do to accommodate that type of feature request, right?
Yeah.
So, um,
And Cody put a comment in the chat saying, as
mhm.
part of this, doesn't Microsoft submit some kind of build? Can we explore their build? I don't think that they have a special build that they submit, right? And we don't. I don't have a lot of insight into the process, but just different things that I've kind of seen on socials and stuff like that. What I imagine the process to be is kind of like your like if you have reviews at your company, right? And a lot of companies do the 360 review to where you have to kind of submit where you think you are in all of these categories and justify why. They have to submit some type of application, some type of filling thing out saying, here's all the requirements, here's how we meet them. They may submit they might some I don't know that it's during this Gardner during this evaluation or there's other things. Yearly there was like a project, right? That they would give out and say, here's the data set that we want you to use and come back with what your solution looks like and why, and then they rate it on there. So yeah, that's all part of it, right? That's normal. The companies that are doing this, right? They don't want to miss anything. They're going to look at it independently as well, but they want input from all of those companies that want to be on here, right? Because if you don't even submit, then you probably don't want to be on here, right? But obviously, all the big ones do. And, being able to see how, what those companies think about themselves. So that's kind of why I equate it to like if you have your performance review and you got to do your own self assessment. Sure, yes, they're submitting the self assessment, but I don't think they're doing special builds for it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, there is a Gartner Bake Off that occurs.
that's what I was thinking of, that bake off. But I don't think that's input to this
Yeah,
quadrant.
I don't think so either. Now, if you scroll down in this blog post, and I'll share this blog post out on the publication here, so I'll post this in chat. Let me get that out there. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. But this is
There you go.
normally you have to go in and you have to like. I was expecting to click on this link here, and most of the time you have to fill out like a form to have it emailed to you.
I thought you do. That's what I had. Did you
That
get?
is what you've always done. When I clicked on it, it opened it right to the full analysis. So,
Oh, you're right. It did. That when I swear to God, when I did this the other day, I had the form pop up.
okay, well, then this is brand new stuff. It was always a pain in the neck because you're like, okay, I got
Yeah.
5 minutes to take a look at this. Okay, fill out the form. Wait till you get emailed to you. Oh, now you're already busy doing something else, and you got to remember to come back.
Hmm.
Now you can just go out and read it. So, this is actually pretty interesting. I think. So it goes through. Let me zoom in so we can see this a little better
Yeah,
here.
where it's got the features, what the mandatory features, the common features. It talks
Right,
a little
right.
bit about how. I mean, they don't give all the secret sauce, but they talk a little bit about how they do it.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, it outlines. Okay, hey, these are the mandatory things we need, right? Data visualization, governance,
Mhm,
reporting, analytics catalog, data prep, data science integration, and it outlines the common features. So automated insights, a metric layer, data storytelling, natural language query, right?
yep.
Collaboration, composability, um, and then we get our rating where that we did before, right? With Microsoft way out in front here. But then below that, it goes in and it gives you a summary across each of the tools, like Alibaba Cloud, right?
Mhm,
Alibaba's rated as a challenger, so that's right here. And it'll run through and it'll talk about all of the things that it does, right? It'll talk about its strengths, so broad sales channel and flexible pricing model, composable analytics, data literacy. So those are its big things. Caution, present geographic presence and lower market momentum, limited investment, and complex competition environment, right? Goes on to AWS, again another challenger. Competitive pricing, integrated global cloud services, serverless architecture enables scale, limited deployment options, governance capabilities rely on separately licensed products, gaps in data preparation capabilities, right? Like, so you can run through all of those capabilities and you can really understand how each product fits
mhm.
into that scale. And as you can see, like we could probably spend multiple hours. We could spend all
Oh,
day
yeah.
going
Yeah.
through and talking about this stuff, right?
Yeah, and you're almost aware, right? I moved forward to our favorite tool, and I think it's interesting to read the cautions of it. Honestly,
Mhm.
the
Where
cautions
is?
that I have there. Are you there? Oh, you moved up.
Well, hang on.
There you
There we
go.
go. Okay, Microsoft.
Yeah,
Holy cow, that was way far down.
it is. It is. Yeah, but I don't. I mean, they're putting 3 for each one, right? So
Yep.
that kind of be that has to be their pattern. Um, you know, I, personally, I'm not overly concerned about some of these cautions. I think the governance part, they're getting better, but I think people have found their own ways of handling that. So, okay.
Okay. Yep.
Interoperability, I agree with the statement here that is basically saying, when you're in Microsoft's architecture, it's great, but now that they're putting Fabric and OneLake out there, it's a step in the right direction. I love that line. Um, but yeah, it's still yet to be seen. But I do think that, you know, I mean, just think about other type of tools, right? To where it's great for data engineering and getting the data so far, but they were still already connecting something to it for Power BI for the reporting aspect of it. And you could do all the data engineering you want in the background until it gets into the right decision maker's hand, the data is useless, right? So
Right.
you're always going to put some other tool in front of it. And I think it's just positioning Microsoft to keep moving along that line.
Wow, look at
And
that. Strengths, a strong combination of price, functionality, and ecosystem. Over the last 4 years, Microsoft has become the dominant vendor in the ABI platform market due to a combination of low prices, comprehensive functionality, and integration with a widely deployed ecosystem that includes Microsoft 365, Azure, and Dynamics. Yeah,
mhm,
I mean, when you talk about that integration across all three of those areas, it is tough to compete with that.
it sure is. Especially tools that people use every day, right? I mean,
Right,
just integration with Excel alone, right? Excel is
right.
the number one database in the world. Is it really a database?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right, and we also look at, I mean, Copilot, that integration there, uh, with generative AI as just integral and built into it. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, it's almost sickening to hear all this stuff about generative AI, but it is becoming such a dominant play inside the space, and to see that so uh, closely tied in broadly across the Power BI and Fabric ecosystem. I mean, this just bodes so well for Microsoft. And then that direct integration with the Power Platform and that low code capabilities with the Pro Code backend, yeah, there's no wonder it's crushing
Yeah.
all of these other solutions.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
as you said, if you're here, if you're watching this channel, you're probably, you know, bought already into Power BI and everything. And I
Hmm.
tell you what, I think right now that's a great career choice. It's been a great career choice for a number of years. There's still position that it's going to be the dominant player for years to come, right? I mean, even if somebody in the this evaluation takes over them next year, there's so many people that are on the path to continue to use it and everything else. This is not going away for years if you're looking at it for your career. You made a good career choice focusing on it, put it that way.
Yeah. And uh, and even though Power BI is not our sponsor and Microsoft doesn't sponsor the work that we do, we're big backers of that, and
Mhm.
clearly we think it brings a positive future to our lives and to our careers, and we recommend it for people as a good path forward. Yeah, Cody is hoping to retire on this tech stack. I mean, I am too, but
Mhm.
I'll say I remain open because I got 20-ish, maybe 30-ish, depending upon how like social security goes, how much longer I have to work. So I'm still open. Things change, but yeah, I'm hoping as well. But in the same way that we back and support Power BI and Microsoft without any compensation whatsoever, we also back and support Buffalo Trace without any compensation ever. So this is a whiskey brand that we would love to like be sponsored by. So if anyone knows someone at Buffalo Trace, you know, but we currently receive no funds by that. But Kevin, you have recently gone out and purchased some Buffalo Trace. Tell us what was. Oh, hang on. Let's get you.
Oh, let me get
There
my
we go.
there we go.
Uh, yeah. How did that go for you when it came to?
So, so it's kind of a funny story. I have one liquor store right by my house I go to, you know, that's my go-to place. And I've been looking for it on the shelves and it hasn't been there. And I started asking the employees, I'm like, where's your Buffalo Trace? They go, oh, you got to be here on the day it gets delivered. It's gone within 24 hours. I'm like, wow, that's really weird. And I found some Facebook groups that, you know, people kind of looking for whiskey in this area and stuff like that. All of a sudden, I see some pictures of people going, hey, I just found this. And, hey, great, great. And then I read all the comments and they're like, well, this city, we have it all the time, So and the city's like 30 minutes away for Dallas. That's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I just yesterday I had to go out and meet somebody. I went to a different liquor store and they had like 5 bottles up on this barrel display. Grabbed a bottle, walk away. The guy walks up with another box and starts stocking it again. So I was like, I got to go back into the store I go to and go, what's wrong with you guys? So
Well, I can say that I understood why Buffalo Trace was like hard to get for a long time because they used to be a small distillery that had like
hmm
one warehouse where I think it's a 11-year aging that goes on in their whiskey, and so like there's only so much that came out of that. But it, a little while ago, they made this huge investment and they uh, they did 11x. They stood up 11 additional like warehouses for aging stuff and they stood up one a year so that they could stagger out their loads so that they would just have this massive influx. And uh uh like okay, I was all excited about that 5 years ago because you know th- that first warehouse like full cycle going online and like being at that production level, like actually hit like 3.5, 4 years ago, I believe. And I haven't seen that uptick. Like the whole country went, yeah, we love that. And that was insufficient to meet our demands. Um, so it's interesting to hear people have similar struggles there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Christina, we'll have to figure out some way to get down by you and walk over. But you let them know that this channel is a full supporter of Buffalo Trace. Okay? So
Drop one of Chris's stickers.
yeah,
Or
but
get a magnet.
yeah, there you go. Oh, hey, and we have new magnets. Best day ever magnets. So if you see me speaking someplace, or if you head over to curiosbi.com and buy me a coffee, we'll send those magnets out to people to get them out there. But it is a best day ever as well. So, Faith had a great comment about she doesn't like the way Microsoft forces users into Fabric by pushing new features only in Fabric components versus Azure standalone products.
Hmm.
Um,
It's interesting.
yeah. Any comments there, Kevin?
Well, yeah, if you want to actually maybe put a little bit more into there, because I don't see that, right? Um, and I had a
You don't?
conversation. No, I really don't, right?
Okay.
Because I still think that you could use Power BI just as you've been using it, today, right? So, or before Fabric. So, there's no change. You could hit your Power Query, bring in any other source, right? So if you still wanted to stand up Databricks somewhere else, right? As long as you could get connectivity to it, or if you wanted to stand up Databricks on Azure, right? If you wanted to set up a SQL server, right? An Azure SQL server, an on-prem SQL server, use a gateway, you could still get to it, right? So I don't see any change there. Now,
Hang on. Now I'm going to push back on that.
okay, how do you see
Um,
it?
well, I mean, I am going to agree with Faith that that's one of the roadmaps and progressions that Microsoft is doing. And I think that's how they've naturally evolved almost all of their products, right? Like SSAS was where we saw all the updates coming for tabular models until analysis services rolled out. And then features hit analysis services and lagged behind in SSAS for 18 plus months. And eventually, that pattern evolved to deploying to Power BI models, and then there was a lag to analysis services, with those features potentially never coming to analysis services or analysis services. And yeah, like we're seeing this in Data Factory. Like we're going to see all new code changes are going to happen on the new platform, and they're only going to retrofit those capabilities to the older platforms um, when and if they get enough demand for that. And so, um,
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah, I
I think
mean,
that's
but even on this example, right? ADF
yep.
doesn't have an email activity.
Hmm.
Okay, but it didn't have it before. Take Fabric out of it, right? Even without Fabric coming about, would it ever have had an email activity?
Well, I think the point is, or the Faith's point is that um, uh, that these new features are rolling to Fabric, and
Yeah,
they're not going to these other tools, and we don't know if they're ever going to them, right?
sure, right. But the reason behind it is Fabric is new, architecture,
Hmm.
it's architected differently, right? And it was developed differently, so now it's easier to implement newer things into the newer platform, where it's harder on the old platform, right? There's a reason why certain features don't make it to the old platform, because in order to pass all the security requirements and everything else, it wasn't architected to do it very easily, right? Where when you start over, you kind of know all these things are coming, and you could architect it for what you know for that day. Within 10 years, there will be something that'll be blocked by the architecture of Fabric that's not going to be easily put in there, and something new will have to come out to change the underlying architecture. right? It's just a progression of software. It's just kind of how it works. So,
Well, yeah, that's why I agree that that's how these patterns work, right? Like, and to that extent, as we develop and build our solutions, we need to be engineering them in such a way where it's easy for us to go from the whatever's the current platform that's out there onto
mm-hmm.
the platform to take advantage of those capabilities, right? And the nice thing is, like Azure Data Factory jobs and functions, to my knowledge, I mean, maybe there's some niche things that can't migrate over, and you can't do that right now. But to my knowledge, most everything you can do in Azure Data Factory, you can do in Fabric Data Factory, right?
Right.
Um,
And if you can't, we know on the path that that's coming, right? But it's
yeah,
not force. It's not like they're just turning it off and forcing you to go there, right? You could do. That's why I'm saying you can still do the same things that you have been able to do.
yeah,
Yes, the newer stuff, right? I mean, I don't know. I haven't updated my iPhone in years, right? I can't get the better pictures until I do that, right?
yep,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's not, and nobody's forcing me to update my phone, right? If I'm still happy with what was there, then I'm happy with what was there. So
Right,
um,
right, right.
that was kind of my point is that there's still, like just taking Power BI in a bubble, right? They're not stopping you from doing the things that you have been able to do in Power BI. Now, to say that Direct Lake is part of Power BI, which I think we can, right? Until you upgrade, yes, you can't use the new shiny Direct Lake.
Yeah,
Just like I can't get better pixels on my picture until I upgrade my phone, right?
right.
So,
And I think the point though is that we're gonna have to constantly evolve our tech. The
hmm,
days of like sticking on an old tech platform for a decade or more, I think are really starting to move away. But the
yeah,
cloud is making it so it's easier for those evolutions, right? Like
right,
that Power BI report that you deployed 7 years ago is still out there and it's still refreshing,
yeah,
right? That because the whole platform upgrades as you go along, right?
yep,
Now you might not be able to download it and redeploy it, but it's still out there and running, right?
yeah,
All right, but we've been talking for quite a while about
yeah.
off-topic stuff, so let's head over to and talk about uh, uh, what's
9
going
days.
on. So I only have 9 days left on my trial. Many of you are expiring. If you have not migrated over, please be aware that like anything you have in a Fabric capacity, once your trial ends, will only be out there for 7 additional days for you to migrate to a paid capacity. Um, and then it will get deleted. All right. So be aware you need to make that migration. You can go out, spin up a Fabric capacity like an F2, that's 200 whatever dollars a month, move everything over and then pause it and pay, I don't know, $5 or whatever, right? So oh, Fernando says Laura got her trial reset again. Oh, all
Yeah,
right,
I'm looking at one that I think got reset, but I'm looking at a second one right now that never got reset, and it's
interesting.
been more than 7 days, and I'm wondering if I lost my stuff. We were just talking about that.
Okay.
Ooh, it's there. Okay, I know what I'm doing later today because I could see these objects.
All right. Well, good deal.
All right, back to our regularly scheduled program.
All right. So we are talking about domains today. And the whole question and topic around domains is like, why do we even have them? What are we going to do with domains? And first, I want to set the stage as to why, especially now that Fabric is out, domains are so critical for us when it comes to managing our data and managing our access. Okay. So, um, in the same way, or we have a lot of learnings that we have over the last 30 years of working by with enabling users to do different things, right? Like think of the number of organizations, or think of the not organizations, think of the number of Excel spreadsheets exists inside of your organization, right? And
Mhm.
Kevin, you mentioned earlier, what's the number one database in the world?
Excel.
Right.
That
And
always that image comes to mind. Like, here's this big enterprise architecture and that one brick of Excel holding everything together.
right. And so Microsoft has learned a lot from that, right? Like that's a thing. And so they want to make sure that as we look across our organization, as we go into these next generations of enabling people to do more with data, that there's more organizational capabilities available to us so that we can manage these data assets easier and better in common groupings. And one of like today and for a while we just had the workspace. Well, how do you tell one workspace is related to another or related to another? It was actually impossible. Like, other than by naming convention, you could not see a grouping of workspaces as to how these different assets or pieces of content related to each other. And that's where domains started to come in, right? And so domains allow us to group together these data assets broadly across workspaces and even create subdomains. So we could say, okay, here's my broad sales domain, but maybe I've got a subdomain for sales North America, sales South America, sales EU. Oh, and we lost Kevin. I don't know what happened there. Kevin, Kevin, come back. Play it all on me. Or did I lose everyone? Are you guys still there? Hello. Hello. I think I have a strong stream, but I'll keep going. All right. So we've got these two different things going on. Uh where we're trying to manage these capacities out there. Somebody do give me a thumbs up if you're still there and I'm not talking to myself. That'd be awesome. um Hang on, let's see if I can see it. Oh yeah, okay, Cody's still here. All right, just Kevin. All right. But so okay, we're gonna manage these things, and this is gonna become really, really important. And Aaron's there. Awesome. Especially as we get more and deeper into Fabric, where we start to have more and more capacities that we're using for a variety of niche solutions, right? Um, uh, we're going to see in the same way that we have, if you look across your organization, even small organizations have dozens of SQL servers and dozens of servers doing different things that are out there. To manage different applications or different reporting analytics or whatever it is, we're going to see that same thing occur inside of Fabric as more and more capabilities come into Fabric, and Fabric becomes a one-stop shop for anything data. I think it's like we could even see it like just doing more in the data space, right? Um, so domains is going to give that uh, domains is going to give that more of that organizational aspect. So I'm going to head in and let's show you how you can configure these domains. Now I'm going to change this so we can. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, maybe he found more Buffalo Trace in stock and he had to run. So that could be. All right. So inside of Fabric, I go to Power BI to get access to it. Inside the admin portal, there's a domain section where you can actually see all the domains that you have. And now these are the parent domains. And at one point in time, we only had parent domains, right? So you can actually see I created a number of domains here, one for global, one for IT, one for marketing, one for sales. But then I did a sales restricted. Well, that makes great sense when you want to restrict informations. As Cody says, my domains have domains. When you want to restrict information from within domains, but we now have this new capability to actually go inside of a domain and create a subdomain. So we could use that subdomain to create a restricted domain. So, like a sales restricted or a sales dev test, right? Because remember, access to like the broader domain doesn't necessarily give you access to lower domains. It potentially gives you access to it, right? That you could see it, but you still are dependent upon access to that is controlled at the workspace level. It's just what could be available to you, right? So we could still have these different domains. Each domain has domain settings, so you can define the name of it. You could define a cover image on this, and frankly, I think this is really useful inside organizations to create that that larger like organizational aspect and navigation, so that like clearly understand what you're using and what you're in. You can define your admins. You can define your contributors. So, I mean, this is my test domain. I probably wouldn't recommend it, but I would typically say, hey, I want, just these domain, these AD groups to be a part of that, right? And then list off the default, add user and security groups to the default domain list. So you can actually control who has access by default in a given domain, right? Now, that works all the way down, even subdomain settings. Actually, I'm wrong. If you want security, it does have to be at the higher level. So now, the workspace security still apply. I'm 98% sure. So because that was the design that they rolled out. You can find out all more about domains out on the Microsoft website here. I'll put that out into our chat so people are aware of this. Let's see here. Bloodhow. Um, uh, so we can actually go in and you can learn more about the fabric domains here. But reality is, where do you go to see it? So the big place around domains is this is a function for sharing and consuming information and consuming data that is in Fabric. Okay. Today, this is not how we share reports. Reports are still shared via apps. So when we're looking at domains, we're talking about data as it exists inside of the One Lake Data Hub, right? So I can go over to my all domains page, which is the default where you're going to be going to see information. But from my all domains, I can then go into my global and see information that's available in my global domain, which is where I keep anything that's going to be broadly available to all domains. I keep my IT specific content in my IT domain. My marketing domain has content that's specific to just marketing. And I've got the sales and sales restricted. Now, oh, look at this. The sales domains pertain to all activity of Salesforce does, so it even pops up on that. Now, I wonder. Oh, I don't have anything in a subdomain. Yeah, let's try adding. So let's add something to that subdomain. So we've got our sales stuff here. Oh, look who's going to join us here. Hey, Christina, welcome.
Hello. I figured you needed a buddy with a K in their name, so figured I'd pop in.
Kratos needs a K, so. Well, thank you for hopping in. That was mighty kind of you.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Are you using domains at all, Christina?
Not yet, but I think we're
Oh,
inching closer to a reason to use them, if that makes sense. Like we're getting closer and closer.
yeah. I think you're gonna find a lot more of that stuff starts to come in as you get deeper into using these toolings, and you just get more deployed into a solution, right? So here, let's take a look. I could go into my well, hang on, let's create a new subdomain and let's see how this works. So sales end to end. I'll create a subdomain here. I'll go into it and let me assign I'll assign a workspace into it and hit apply.
I didn't know you could assign it by capacity. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's all sorts of ways. So like you can just like, hey, everything in this capacity, come on now. I only have one capacity, so I do not want to do that. But I guess wow, it even has like disabled ones, and but I could assign it by capacity and manage it that way, or by admins. Oh, that's interesting.
That is so
Uh,
nice.
yeah. There's a lot of capabilities there, but you can be as granular as you want, right?
Right.
So I've got my end to end there. I go over to my workspaces. Notice, oh, look at that! It already moved it into that. So I'm gonna say this is the first time I have seen a change to a workspace without refreshing my browser. It's
They're getting
completely.
better.
Yeah. I was expecting to have to refresh this. But if I go into end to end, I can see that yes, it's part of that. No, look at this. Kevin is back too.
Oh my
Holy cow.
gosh.
I think I had internet issues. Nice to
It's
see
all
you.
good.
Good to see you too, Kevin.
Carry on.
Yeah, but if I go back over to my One Lake, I'm in my sales. But look at this. Inside of sales, because I now have content in there, I can then drill into my sales end-to-end subdomain to get access to that lower level. So I can now start to have a hierarchy of access inside of my domain, right? Now this
Wow.
just adds a whole bunch of functionality and capabilities when it comes to when we go in and manage stuff, helping people find the right information that they're uh, uh, that they need, especially when onboarding. We talk about like one of the big things that we've been talking about is like time to productivity. How quickly can we be productive with new hires, and like organizational capabilities like this really allow for that. Now,
Nice.
Christina, you were saying you're starting to use it.
Yeah, well, we're coming into use cases for it, which I haven't seen totally yet. But I think with Fabric, the way that you can have your data inside of a workspace that then could be end to end for one business is a solid use case for a domain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then I can separate my ETL. So maybe like a certain aspect of that team needs
Mhm.
access to the ETL and to the reports. Some only need access to the reports, but then I'm managing it through domains. I don't have to manage it at the workspace level anymore, which would be kind of nice.
The security is managed at the domain level?
Well, just in general, right? I think I can you can do a lot with domains, right? It's
Yeah,
not just the labeling.
I'm only at because I really don't know. I haven't messed with them, right? I was telling Chris earlier. I said I originally I only saw them as a way to just kind of thinking hierarchical. I just thought of it as organizing your workspaces, right?
Right.
And then even the way
Well,
he showed it, there's been improvements since I've looked at it. So
yeah, and yes, it is more around organizational activities and management capabilities. I think Christina, you are spot on. Like, hey, now I can manage. Here's my data load activities. Here's my reporting activities. But and Jason Campbell is right. Security is applied via Entra groups at the workspace level. All right.
Right.
It's just you might be able to see and work in a domain through that AD group, but that doesn't break your downstream more granular levels of security, right? So you're still in, and you could still say, okay, hey, sub teams inside of here, only you get to access these things. You get to access these others, right? But to your point, Christina, if I'm a director and I've got lots of teams underneath me doing things,
Hmm.
maybe I have a pure data team, right? And I've got a team of 3 to 7 engineers who are building out data assets for my division or my department, right? So they load that into my sales domain, and they manage that. But
Right.
I also have analysts who maybe they want to manage like data feeds, like who attended the Christmas party, right? Like I don't want my data engineering team to give a crap about that, right? I don't
They
want
won't,
that.
Chris. Don't worry.
Right. That's
They
right.
might, depending on the manager that asked them to do it.
Oh,
well,
true.
but I would really like to be able to have my data engineers focus on my big issues, my big challenges. I want them to engineer the right solution. I'm going to know that it's going to take longer to develop what's going on over there, but we're going to have tighter controls, and we're going to have mandatory uptime, and SLAs and monitoring are going to be full-fledged on that piece of content. But we're also going to have those other lower areas all in one domain, all kind of grouped together, and then allowed for people to go in and see these various assets in a consolidated space, so it's easier for them to just understand what they have access to.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Tony's got a good question here.
Mhm.
Domain admin. How does this fit into delegation of administration, capacity admin, workspace admin? Is anyone actually using this, or is this all admin stuff going to one person? Um, uh, Kevin, I guess I'll ask you. You're the
Yeah,
case of just one guy, right?
yeah, pretty much. I've had a lot of smaller type of things lately, so it's just been the one guy type of stuff. But what I would hope, right? Because you could assign when I kind of got into my tenant just a little bit ago and created my first domain, and I know you probably were showing that work when I had my network issues. You can assign certain, I guess, domain admins, and I think maybe Christina, this is kind of where you are coming in. Is somebody could assign, here's a domain admins, you put workspaces into that domain, but then those domain admins could probably do more things to help give the security just to that set that's in there, rather than giving them higher tenant level admin that they could do anything. But again, I'm not 100% sure. I was here to learn today, and I
Christina,
learned
how
I
about
need to work with my network company.
Christina? It sounds like you're starting to explore in this area. How is this jiving for you?
Well, how we were thinking about it was for more of a so we're looking into some capacity metric options, like being able to look at a tenant wide and say, okay, who's using what and where.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to do that, there are people who inevitably want more and who want to see more than what the out of the box looks like. And so if you build something like that, a lot of people come to you and say, hey, can I get access to that for my items? And one of the ways we were thinking about doing that is doing it through domains. So if we've assigned workspaces to a domain, we can pull that information in, and then we can have it where certain users get access to certain domains. So they don't need access to all the items inside of those workspaces, but then they get kind of the metadata of usage from those items. So that's kind of what we were thinking of doing. Little bit of an edge case, right? Because at some point it does feel like a folder on top of folders. Where you're like,
Well, I'm going to say that, and I'll pull Cody's question back up. Is that I think we have
yeah,
some different types of access that we're talking about here. So when I think about domains, I'm thinking about grouping and sharing broad scale uh, the assets that are managed and controlled uh, by my sphere of influence, right? By a department's sphere of influence. Um, when I think about capacity administrator, I'm thinking about a server admin. Who's administering my server? Who's controlling the processes that run on that?
Mm-hmm.
Who would I go to say, hey, things aren't working, get them better, or can you help me with this? Right? That's who I'm thinking about. Like capacity admins are my system admins. Workspace
Okay.
admins, on the other hand, are going to be more of my development leads, right? So they're the ones who are developing content, they're publishing it out there, they're sharing it. They're the developers. Now, do they all have to wear similar hats sometimes? Yeah, and in some organizations, you may be the only one, and you may wear all of these hats.
right,
In a large organization, you might have specialists though, where all right. Your domain admin is going to be the person who is responsible and accountable for the data that exists inside of uh, uh, inside of their domain, and they're responsible for managing it. They're responsible to their customers for consuming it, and they're responsible for all of the aspects around how it's used, right? um Systems admins, your capacity admins, that might be a smaller group that's even separate outside of your domain, right? So think about that sales leader who has a team of engineers that are building stuff, and they have a handful of people that maybe they help administer the capacities, or maybe they outsource that to like the parent IT and say, hey, that's beyond our skill set, or that's more technical, can you administer that for us, right? So
Yeah.
I think those are the three levels we're talking about here. Good
Yeah.
question.
And I think the last point in his question
Mhm.
is, unfortunately, sometimes security gets too complex for people. And so
Mhm.
they just go, yeah, I just gave admin to everybody, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, if you don't have the controls in place, right? And we've even seen this in workspaces, right? If
Mhm.
you don't have the controls in place or the education in place, people are going to default to that. And then up until the day that problem comes, and that day will come, but
Yeah.
it's it unfortunately becomes the default.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, we are about to wrap it up. Christina, any parting words for our audience today?
Just have a great Friday, guys. It's hot everywhere. Enjoy the outdoors in the morning and then chill in the afternoon.
Boy,
Boy, I hear that down here.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah. You both of you are south of me. What is the temperature like for you guys?
We're gonna hit around 100 with a heat index of 110 today. So
Oof.
easy.
90 here. Yeah.
90? Oh
hmm
gosh. All
That's the high
right.
for the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I should come visit you this weekend to cool off. So
Yeah. Yeah, come on up. Today we top out at 74. So
Wow.
nice.
yeah. That's I'll take that for
You
this
get that
time of year.
beautiful lake effect, Chris.
Mm.
That's so nice.
It,
Mm.
it is very nice. Yes, we're very lucky. And
Until the lake effect has snow after it.
oh yeah,
It goes both ways.
yeah, the good
Got
with
a
the
break
bad,
now.
right? I will say the one thing I'm hoping to avoid this weekend is last night I let Dax out, and we've got a fenced in backyard, and he owns the place. He runs around all over like a crazy dog. Last night he ran over to like this flower bed, and he was just all excited about it. And I'm like, uh-oh, because it didn't smell right outside, and I ran out there, and
Oh.
I had to yell at him to get away from that, and he eventually ran away from it, like just ran around, and then he ran back in the house, and like seconds later, like 3 feet away from me, a baby skunk walked out of the flower bed. I'm like, oh gosh, that's way too close to a skunk.
Yeah.
I do not want to be that close ever to a skunk again. And fingers crossed that will not happen this weekend. So
Well, good luck with that.
yeah.
I don't leave the house, so don't worry about that. So.
The skunks in my neighborhood are bad. 2 weeks ago, maybe it's the same baby skunk. I don't know, but like we were walking, and I guess I spoiled the ending of the story. We were walking down the road, and in the middle of the road it looked like a dead skunk in the middle of the road, and we're like, oh, a car hit it, and we got right up to it, and then it just stood up and came running at us like,
Oh,
hey, how's it
geez.
going? I'm like, ah.
Oh, too much.
Oh,
All right. Well, good
all
luck
right.
with that. Everybody have a great weekend. And
Yep.
come by next week before
Yep,
we
and
take some time off.
that's right. Happy 4th. Peace.
Happy 4th.
Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.